Well, good morning, everyone, and welcome to our special council meeting for the Municipality of West Grey. This is October 13th, 2020, 8:30 a.m. Thank you all for being here. I'm Christine Robinson, Mayor of West Grey. We do have all members of council present. We have a quorum. For everyone's information, we're conducting this meeting using audio only. Video is not possible at this time due to limited bandwidth in some areas of West Grey. Bandwidth is challenging our ability to do a complete video broadcast. So we'll be sharing the agenda and our audio. All right, so that's item one. That is our call to order already. With regard to the agenda, it has been posted. Although this is, much of this meeting is in camera, it will be on our website, and the technology is being managed by staff. And at this point, I'd ask Supervisor Hewlett just to provide an overview of the key points for this morning's meeting.
Good morning, and thank you, Mayor Robinson. If you get disconnected at any time during this meeting, you can dial 1-647-558-0588 and enter the meeting ID 821-2407-7874. Both members of council and staff have been briefed on the various features of the Zoom meeting software and will be using the raise the hand function to speak. Members of council will be using the green check mark to vote in favor of a motion and the red X to vote against. Each member of council will then be called upon verbally to confirm their vote for the benefit of any guests who have called in rather than joining us online. If you have any technical issues during the meeting, you can send a chat message to myself, Cody Hewlett, Recreation Supervisor, and I will attempt to assist you. Thank you.
Thank you very, very much. Appreciate that, Supervisor Hewlett. Item 2, moment of reflection. Members of council and those listening in, please take a quiet moment. Thank you. We are now on item 3, which is declaration of pecuniary interest and general nature thereof. Members of council, are there any declarations? Seeing none, we'll move on to item 4, closed session. Clerk Sharbeck, could you please read the motion?
Through you, Your Worship, the recommendation is whereas the Municipal Act 2001, as amended, Section 239(2), as amended, authorizes councils of municipalities to close to the public a meeting or part of a meeting for dealing with certain subject matters. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Council of the Municipality of West Grey does now go into a closed session at 8:34 a.m. with the with the Clerk and Chief of Police and Recreation Supervisor Cody Hewlett to discuss an item that relates to personal matters about an identifiable individual, including a municipal or local board employee, and the security of the property of the municipality or local board.
Thank you. Is there a mover for this motion? Okay. Councillor Hergert, are you moving this motion?
Councillor Hergert, yes.
Councillor Hutchinson, are you seconding this motion?
Councillor Hutchison, yes.
Questions? On the motion, all those in favor signify with a check mark. Those not in favor with the next mark. I will call your name, and would you please state your name and also state how you're voting. To begin, Mayor Christine Robinson, I am in favor of this motion. Councillor Hutchinson.
Councillor Hutchison, in favor.
Councillor Hamilton.
Councillor Hamilton, yes.
Deputy Mayor Hutchinson.
Deputy Mayor Hutchinson, in favor.
Councillor Shea.
Councillor Shea, yes.
Councillor Hergert.
Councillor Hergert, yes.
Councillor Townsend.
Councillor Townsend, in favor.
Motion carried. Thank you. If you could clear your dashboard. We are now moving into the breakout room. No worries, please proceed.
Just clarify that in closed session, council only addressed matters identified in the motion to go in closed session. And I guess the recommendation is that council hereby directs staff to proceed as directed in regards to the building matter. And
Okay. All right, so I was just looking for a motion to rise in public. Is that-
Okay.
That's just where we're at right now.
okay, yes. I guess council reconvene in open session.
Thank you. Is there a mover for that? Deputy Mayor Hutchinson?
Deputy Mayor Hutchinson, I'll move that we rise into open session.
Councillor Hamilton, are you seconding that?
Counselor Hamilton, yes, I second.
All those in favor, please indicate with a check mark. Those opposed with an X mark. Mayor Christine Robinson, I am in favor of this motion. Councillor Townsend,
Counselor Townsend in favor.
Councillor Hergert,
Counselor Hergert, yes.
Councillor Shea,
Counselor Shea, yes.
Deputy Mayor Hutchinson,
Deputy Mayor Hutchinson, in favor.
Councillor Hamilton,
Counselor Hamilton, yes.
Councillor Hutchinson.
Counselor Hutchison in favor.
Motion carried. Could you please clear your dashboard? As mayor, I am stating that the reason we went in camera were the only discussions that were held. We are now on item 5, matters arising from the closed session. So Clerk Sharbeck, we do have staff direction and also a discussion with regard to a committee that I'm proposing, which is the West Grey Police Building Committee. I'll start with that. And what I'm proposing is that we create a West Grey Police Building Committee. In fact, can be a task force because it will be addressing specific tasks. I'm looking for this committee that will move along with our architect and also the construction portion of the building. There are during the building of the headquarters times where work orders need to change and that are looking for immediate attention. So a small grouping of council can assess that quickly and agree or ask for something else with regard to the change work order. That's effectively standard during the construction of a building. Also, there's certain timelines we want to make sure are addressed so that we would have the connection with the architect or the contractor in terms of where we're at meeting timelines, and then report back to council on it. Council obviously has the ultimate decision, but this is a working committee so that we can ensure that processes and procedures are followed. We've got a few things there's that we'll be addressing, but it's here, I'm just trying to think. We just want to make sure that we meet the objectives and timelines associated with this project. Also, this committee can address any, what am I trying to say? Any funding opportunities that can be brought forward. I think we need to do it as our committee rather than staff. We'll bring it forward to council. We just want to make sure that the process of completing the project is done in a timely fashion, and I feel that a committee of 3 will We'll get this done. I'm proposing myself, Councillor Shea, and Councillor Hutchinson, but we will hammer out the terms of reference at our first meeting. But I'm looking for the establishment today so that we have the ability to meet and then report back to council with our draft terms of reference. Would there be a mover for establishing this building committee? Councillor or Deputy Mayor Hutchinson, are you moving this committee with the appointed members?
Good morning, it's Deputy Mayor Hutchinson. Yes, I would move the motion as you presented. Thank you.
Is there a seconder for this? Councillor Shea, are you seconding this? Oh, thanks, there's a few. Councillor Shea, are you seconding this motion?
Councillor Shea, I second the motion.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I wonder, Clerk Sharbeck, as you're wordsmithing there, could you please read what you have for the motion so that I can call the vote on this, please?
Thank you, Your Worship. Moved by Deputy Mayor Hutchinson, seconded by Councillor Shea, that Council appoint Mayor Robinson, Councillor Shea, and Councillor Hutchinson to a building committee, being a task force to work with the architect throughout the building process to ensure timelines and objectives are met and all funding opportunities explored.
Yes, that's great.
Is
but we'll
that
call
enough?
it the West Grey Police Building Committee. That's the
Okay.
only change. All right. Questions? Councillor Hamilton.
Thank you, Mayor Robinson. So just looking for clarity, as the task force, is the idea that we're delegating authority, that the task force would be making decisions, or perhaps you could bring some clarity to that, please. Thank you.
So it's council that will be making the decisions. I want that very clear. So any
Okay.
decisions will be brought through council. We're just ensuring the process and the timelines. There will be a time frame where there will be work orders that need to be addressed, but we would be having that discussion with council overall to understand the parameters. So it's a very much a build of for full council authority, but we're just the hands, if you will, the working group on that.
Okay, and I think the intent is to help things stay on track
Oh, yeah.
and be able to move things along. Would the committee then, if they're not making decisions, is that creating then an extra step? Like, I'm actually worried that having the committee might slow things down, but I'm interested in your thoughts on that, please, Mayor.
So from my perspective, with all due
Mhm.
respect, to the
Mhm.
contrary, I feel that it's a necessary step in moving
Uh-huh.
the process and the accountability along, so that we would get the regular updates and those that we need to present right to council. I don't want to have a time frame where there isn't enough information. So I feel that a building committee is a necessary step during this time frame and through to the construction that we have this committee. I've gone through at least three construction projects here,
Mhm.
maybe
Mhm.
two, and the committee is absolutely necessary in terms of moving the process along.
Mhm. Okay, thank you, Mayor Robinson, and I trust your experience and hear what you're
Thank you.
saying. I was just trying to, then if the committee's not making decisions, I was trying to figure out how they help move things along.
We
So I'm
will
just
in
thinking
terms-
out loud, Mayor Robinson.
Yeah, so we will in terms of work orders, like we would have that
Mhm.
discussion with council in terms of parameters, and that's why you
Mhm.
have a small group that can meet. There would be some planning, or I'm saying some construction matter that needs to be
Mhm.
addressed. And rather than bringing the full council to order, we've got a small group of 3 members of council and the related staff as we need it, which would be our CBO, our
Mhm.
and within that, I would say that motion that we would have the related staff members of our CBO, our CAO, and clerk, and then we would draw in any other staff as we need through, let's say, our Director of Finance and Treasurer or our infrastructure. But as things progress within the construction, you need a smaller group to make the decisions on the work orders and sign off on them on behalf
Okay.
of council. So that is the reality of the group of decision making that we will be doing, and then report back
Okay.
to council on it. So
Thank you, Mayor Robinson. And then regarding funding opportunities, we are still, it's great the committee would take that on, but we are also expecting the architect to be investigating grants. That doesn't take that away, correct?
Oh, absolutely not. That was part of
Okay.
the RFP. That will continue
Yeah.
as we move along with our other exposure to different opportunities. We will bring that forward as well. And then also maybe through the application process of getting that submitted too. So we'll address that.
Okay. Thank you, Mayor Robinson.
You're quite welcome. Councillor Townsend.
Yes, Councillor Townsend. Yeah, having been responsible for 2 builds in my private work world and as well as the Durham Medical Clinic, it's very common and mandatory is probably the best word to use to have such a committee because you don't want to burden down the council with operational issues. Thank you.
Thank you as well. All right. Councillor Herger.
Yes, thank you. I guess my concern is when we disbanded the police building committee was that all of those updates would come back to council. And I'm not sure that I feel like I have any idea what is going on with the police building. And I believe that's probably just because it hasn't been brought back to council. So here we are, we're in the middle of the RFP process. I'd like to see those results come back from the from the architect and see how big the building is going to be, how much it's going to cost, all of those details prior to setting a subcommittee for this for the minor details of work orders and so on, and keeping things on track. Now, while I do find those things to be absolutely necessary, keeping a build of this magnitude on track, I feel like we haven't had this brought forward to council to say, here's the schedule of the entire project. Here's how much it will cost. Are we ready for these costs? When you talk about making changes to work orders and so on, those could be expensive changes. And I would imagine that, there would need to be some budget for changes of work orders. It happens in every other industry. I can't imagine it wouldn't cost us something in a building situation. So at this time, I'm not looking to reform this group. I can appreciate that there's some significant work that needs to be done. However, when we disbanded, the idea was that the entire project would come back to council for decision making. And I haven't been part of that. And at this time, I will not be delegating my responsibility to a task force or committee. So I'll be keeping that a no vote at this time. I obviously would like this down the road somewhere once council has had a chance to preview the project in whole and to fund it accordingly before we start making changes through work orders, etc., with no budget really attached to it. Thanks.
Okay, thanks. That other committee definitely had a specific purpose, and that was to assess various properties and bring that to council. That committee completed its mandate, and there were many meetings that were held to update council on it. Council had the authority with that. When you have the experience of dealing with the construction of different municipal facilities, and certainly I have had that. This is the key juncture in the time that you want to establish a task force of this nature, so that we can keep up with the progress, the process, and the procedures involved. We're right at the beginning of it. It does evolve into the point of construction, but that is after dealing with council in terms of the scope of the changes that would be permitted. That is also dictated through budget process. So we are very much in the right time frame for the accountability of this committee. Everything will come forward to council for approval. Councillor Hamilton, before I call the vote, please.
Thank you, Mayor Robinson. So would it be helpful to have the terms of reference drafted and brought to council, and then we would approve that and then appoint? That seems like then we'd be all on the same page about the mandate and the terms. But just in terms of process, perhaps we could have that draft at, say, our committee of whole at the end of the month.
So what we've been doing with our committees is having them established, getting the members appointed, and then having the authority to meet, and then having the committee draft the terms of reference and presenting that to council. That's what I'd like to do in this case. I don't want to bog down in terms of the discussion at this point. There's, in my opinion, a necessity for this committee. I'd like the committee to meet, draft those terms of reference, and bring them forward to the end of the month committee of the whole meeting for discussion.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you as well. On the motion, all those in favor, please signify with a check mark. Those opposed with an X mark. I will begin. Mayor Christine Robinson, I am in favor of the motion. Councillor Hutchinson.
Councillor Hutchison, in favor.
Councillor Hamilton.
Councillor Hamilton, yes.
Deputy Mayor Hutchinson.
Deputy Mayor Hutchinson, in favor.
Councillor Shea.
Councillor Shea, yes.
Councillor Hergert.
Councillor Hergert, no.
Councillor Townsend.
Councillor Townsend, no.
Motion carried. Madam Clerk, is there any other direction or motion that we require at this point prior to adjournment?
Thank you. Through you, Your Worship, I would just like to clarify that council provided direction and that we will be attempting to reschedule a special committee of adjustment meeting as soon as possible, hopefully on October 23rd. If that date doesn't work, October 27th. And I will email all of council as soon as possible, as soon as I know today which day that will be. I would ask that if it's on the 23rd, that's a Friday, would 1 p.m. suit council, or would you like to do it at 9 a.m.? I just need a time, and then that'll save some back and forth later.
So based on what you've said, we've got a couple hands raised, beginning with Deputy Mayor.
Thank you, Mayor Robinson. This is Deputy Mayor Hutchinson. October 23rd, if that does work, that's wonderful. I do have a solid afternoon already booked on the 23rd, so I prefer morning.
Okay.
If it is in the afternoon, then I have to know well in advance so I can make some alterations so I can attend, obviously.
Okay, and I can tell you,
Thank you.
Madam Clerk, I'm fine with the morning of the 23rd as well. Councillor Hamilton, please.
Oh, thank you, Mayor Robinson. Perhaps it's redundant, but I do have a SMART meeting Friday afternoon, and I would be available in the morning. Thank you.
Good. That certainly was not redundant. That was extremely necessary for you to say. Okay. All right. Anything further, Clerk Sherba? On those,
Thank you, Your Worship. I'm looking at then October 23rd at 9 a.m. start, or October 27th, as close to 9 a.m. as possible within our committee of the whole meeting. So I will advise all of council as soon as I know, and get an agenda posted as soon as it's confirmed. Thank you for that.
Thank you
And
as well.
that's it for me.
On item 6 now, adjournment. Clerk Sharbat, could you please read the motion?
Through you, your worship, the recommendation is that we do now adjourn at 9:40 a.m. To meet again on October 20th, or at the call of the chair.
Is there a mover for this? Councillor Hergert, are you moving this motion?
Councillor Hergert, yes.
Councillor Hutchinson, are you seconding this motion?
Counselor Hutchison, yes.
As I call your name, state your name and state how you are voting. To begin, Mayor Christine Robinson, I am in favor of this motion. Councillor Hutchinson,
Counselor Hutchison, in favor.
Councillor Hamilton,
Counselor Hamilton, yes.
Deputy Mayor Hutchinson,
Deputy Mayor Hutchinson, in favor.
Councillor Shea,
Councillor Shay, yes.
Councillor Hergert,
Councillor Hergert, yes.
and Councillor Townsend.
Councillor Townsend in favor.
Motion carried. We stand adjourned. Thank you very much. Have a nice day.